the world we live in is changing rapidly. You need to keep this in mind, understanding you need to update yourself. The payment stuff, the entire payment area, it's changing. We are moving into a new financial system. And we know why these are happening because of the Great Depression, global financial crisis, you name it. We have a ton of monetary issues in the current system, which they are trying to solve one by one. If you understand all of these key parts and come to know that, okay, Forex is one of the big stuff inside this globalized world, you then understand, okay, new payment system, new payment platforms are necessary. Now, this is not coming from only one central bank. You get the idea from all over the globe. And then you come on to look at Ripple, at what they are doing, and you're like, okay, they are partnered with the European Association for Digital Euro Work, right? They are partnered with Digital Pound Foundation, where they, are supporting the UK. Then you come and see, like, okay, they are working with Bhutan, and that means, Asian side is also getting understanding. Now, yes, when we see them giving highlights and more information for these association to understand how a central bank digital currency works. Say this is for Digital Pound Foundation, where Ripple is giving them how it works. Now, it's not like they are going to run a different ledger without using XRP. They're going to use a parallel ledger for the central banks, I agree. But if you read this properly, what you understand is, yes, for central banks, they need their privacy. That's why it is coming in. But then you come on to all of this. Say, for example, there's a report which you really need to go through if you haven't read this one. The future of CBDCs, right? So all of these central banks are making action. And when you go down and look at this map, you can actually understand, which of these countries are in advanced state, which of them are in early state, and some of them are, way higher. So China is one of the advanced country where they are, rolling the CBDC out. Then you see Ukraine, then you see Sweden. Whereas, earlier guys are like Australia, Brazil, USA, and others. Now you look at others, and okay, majority of the region in between, they are already on this. Though next step, they're going to be the advanced area where they're going to roll out the central bank digital currency. Now, why does this actually matter? Because once these countries are coming out with that and they are rolling it out, it's ready to go, they need to talk to each other. Because this is a globalized world, right? And to talk to each other, when Ripple is giving information to Digital Pound Foundation, Euro, in Asia and all, what is coming out? It is the biggest stuff you need, a neutral bridge asset, which can support healthy alternative markets, and it gives you what you really want: the scalability, the transactional cost, you name it, everything required for an efficient payment system, you get that. And as you read through all of this, you are going to get a bit more understanding of what's happening in the market. And you also need to look at this. Say gold broke higher, it's now coming back down to the support which it broke higher. So that means there can be a retest in this area and then a bounce, because in the history of gold, we have seen this multiple times. And at the same point in time, you look at, say, Dow Jones, and you're like, okay, it broke lower. That's not great. Then you come on to S&P 500. It had a support level which was broken. If we don't get back about this, it is going to be another 15% down. So that takes us to a massive 25% drop in Dow Jones. Then followed by this in S&P 500. All of these are going to drop, and think if dollar strengthens, that may not be a great stuff for a lot of different countries which are already struggling. So let's detail this and look at the crypto charts. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. So as we look at these charts, we definitely understand that the price action is showing you some bullish stuff, because the MACD on a weekly is suggesting that it is about to cross to the upside. Now, it may take a week or two to do that, but if you look at how things happen using a Heikin-Ashi chart, you kind of get that narrative when the volume is low and it slowly starts to pick up and the MACD is about to cross, you get a green candle close. It is usually followed by another green candle. So one of the best stuff of Heikin-Ashi is that, right? You get a green candle close and you're like, okay, next candle is going to be green. That's the bet with the Heikin-Ashi. It's trying to, kind of predict what the next candle is going to be. So yeah, at one point you're going to be proven wrong. But if you follow the same stuff, 7 out of 10 times you are going to be winning this. So in that aspect, you got one candle which is closed right now, and that's in green. So if you look at this trend, you have been in this corrective trend, you got intermediate green, then the impulse to the downside in red. But right now you got this impulse which came back to retest this level in green, and then the red becomes small. So if you observe here in this particular area, you got the green which was just a corrective trend in the main trend here in the short term scenario. Now I know that's confusing, but keep this idea here. You are moving inside this pattern, and within that pattern this is a breather before the next leg down. In the same sense, when you come here, now you get another trend formation here. We don't know whether that's going to be the case, but you actually get a breather in red. So that means the next leg should be to the upside. And then you combine that with the MACD and then with the RSI. So both of them are suggesting you, okay, we may actually break to the upside. We are close to that breakout point. So if we happen to break to the upside, the pattern is bullish, because the pattern here which you can observe is a falling wedge, and it's usually bullish. And whenever we break that falling wedge to the upside, it's bullish. We have identified this and talked about this highly, because usually that's a bullish scenario, and you don't really want to avoid a bullish scenario which is forming on a weekly and right now turning bullish with increasing volume. And you go back to the Bitcoin chart and you're like, okay, you already happened to cross to the upside and you're slowly moving to the upside. Remember, we've talked about this last time too, but on a 3-day chart on Bitcoin, you are literally observing a possibility where you still can get a double bottom pattern. Now, we don't know how long this double bottom pattern is going to take, but if it actually go back up in this positive territory, MACD is showing you bullishness. And then you look at the RSI. It needs to break above this, but here also there is a possibility of a double bottom. So if that double bottom is playing out here and break higher, that is bullish for Bitcoin too. Now, you zoom out, you look at Bitcoin on a macro, and you're like, okay, we are not close to the bottom, somewhere close to the top, right? We may have a 2 to 3x max, fine. Now, from this perspective, you also have to understand this. We've been supported by this particular level for some time, and we are standing above that. So unless we go below that, going completely bearish on Bitcoin, suggesting, we have made the top, won't be the right call. Now it's up to you, but you can decide for yourself. But understand, the market may not actually give you time like 430 days to take your profits out if you are bought here at $3,000, if you're bought here at $7,000. If that's your call, that's fine. But understand, the market never gives you that ability to take your profit for that long. So if the next leg is to the upside and it goes towards 90,000, 100,000, that's the bullish scenario, right? So your resistance level for that move would be around 65 to 67. Yes, we had a break towards 69, but you can consider if we are going towards 50, 60, that range, we still have bulls in the market. So now you go to the chart where you are looking at the entire altcoins, because the general market sentiment is corrective and we have been inside this corrective trend for some time. And if you observe clearly, we've talked about this too. We are making a base here, and if we get a break higher, that's bullish. If we get a break lower, that's bearish. So we are still inside this, waiting to see where we are going to go. But you put that in with the indicators and you look at the price and indicators, the indicators give you this. There is a narrative, there is a possibility that these may actually break to the upside. So as that shows you, it's going to go continue higher. So now you have an option to actually go into these and look at the actual coins. What are all the coins doing in this market? You see a mixed narrative. Some are in green, some are in red, all these stuff. But make sure when you look at this stuff, you take action based on the macro perspective. Say you go to a 4-hour chart, and a 4-hour chart may show you massive opportunity because, say this is XRP, you can actually go on to a 4-hour chart of XRP and use Heikin-Ashi chart or the other one and say this is an opportunity. But on a higher time frame, that may not be. Right? So here, yes, it is an opportunity. We are close to a breakout. This definitely looks like a bull flag. Great. You have this momentum to the upside. You're correcting like this. But it also agrees with the macro one, which we just saw on a weekly. Right? So that's how you make sure things happen like that. Now, here you broke lower. Yes, you're going to the downside. Then you do have support lines. Right? You can consider this as zones, somewhere close to 2,200, 2,350. And then you have another one here, which may not be, that small range of support, but it does give you some support. Now you are looking at the resistance. Say the price is being resisted in this trend where you are moving lower. Your highs are lower each time. So most likely you may come back down, retest this, and below this range. So for that, what we have to do is zoom out. So for Ethereum, you're zooming out, and this is your macro structure where you're still holding on to this support. So when a short term suggests you we are going to go down, yeah, we may go down on a shorter time span, but you need to understand this range will be acting as a key support, which has been there from last year. So you had the entire 2021 where this was a support, and now 3 months in 2022. So if we bounce from that, it is definitely going to show you that there is a possibility that the price is going back higher. And what would your resistance be at that case? This is going to be the range, $6,000. Close to $6,000 is your next top if we are breaking to the upside. But if we break to the downside in Ether, you would be possibly looking at a scenario where we are close to the last all-time highs. That's 1,300, 1,500 range in dollar terms. But you can look at the MACD, it's still at the bottom. It's showing you a trend where it is correcting to the downside. Yes, the price is showing you that it is moving to the upside. But if you actually put this in perspective, you are not getting the same narrative. But you try to connect the tops too, and you're like, okay, fine. You may actually have a short-term run to the upside where you go towards 200, 250 in MACD, and that may allow the price to go towards 6,000. Yes, the actual trend is changing. You may actually head lower. You may not get the 20, 30,000 Ether, which a lot of people are talking about, but you may still get a rally inside this. And if you are someone who bought Ether somewhere close to the top, take that opportunity, use that opportunity, move out. That's my suggestion based on what I see here in that Ether chart. Now we go back to the XRP on a similar time horizon. So you go to a 3-day chart and try to look at what's going to happen on a similar candlestick chart. Great. Now you go on to a similar candlestick chart, and what do you actually observe here? Is it something similar to that of Ether, which is showing you may actually have a little bit upside but a lot of downside? No, because this is a symmetrical one here, but understand the impulse is to the upside. So if the impulse is to the upside, we are moving up each time after the correction, then the chances are you're going to go to the upside. So here your risk reward is much better than what we've just talked about in Ether, what we have just talked about in Bitcoin. So to compare that one, you can come on to XRP Ether, right? A 3-day chart, weekly, it's up to you. And you look at this one, there has been a trend where we were, continuously moving to the downside for a long period of time. Now we are close to that breakout. And if that breaks out, what you have to understand what we are going against is a corrective trend of last 3 years. 3.5 years to be, kind of accurate. In that term, your upside towards Ether is like this. you're going to do a 10x against Ether. So that ratio which we had back in 2017, 2018 bull run is going to be maintained. So what does that actually mean for XRP price? If you go back in price history and look at what XRP price was when Ether was $1,000, it was $1. And when Ether was skyrocketing, then XRP went parabolic. But before that, it was XRP 0.8, Ether 800. So you take that and put Ether price here. That means XRP should be somewhere close to $2.5, $2.8 right now. So if this shows you any indication, XRP is going to soon come close to $1.5 and Ether is going to come back towards $1,500. So XRP 1.5, Ether 1,500. That's kind of getting back into the same ratio as we've just talked. And when that happens, if you have this asset, do keep this in mind. Slowly balance your portfolio. If you're in different risk assets, if you're in different fundamental assets, check all of those, whether the fundamental has changed or not, whether the risk has increased or reduced. Balance your portfolio based on that structure. That is one of the reasons why we do the one-on-one sessions. If you want that link, you can check the Patreon. The link of the Patreon is given in the description below. And guys, if you're receiving value for your time in this channel, please do hit that like and subscribe button. That supports the channel a lot. And I'm observing we have viewers and majority of them are unsubscribed to this channel, but they are still watching. So if you receive value for your time and you're coming back to this channel, please do hit that subscribe and like button. So guys, if you understand the macro narrative, safe haven assets are going to go sky high. Assets which are termed in dollar is going to have issues when dollar goes up. So if you are having cash flow in dollar, wait for this. If this is breaking higher, yes, your purchasing power goes high. But if not, it's going to go down and your purchasing power is going to go down. So you need to actually wait and see what happens. But if you're breaking to the upside and you're in a different currency than dollar and you're buying more dollar-based products, that's going to be hard for you. So guys, that's all for today. And if you received value from the channel, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.